What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Sony Xperia Z1 to the Samsung Galaxy S4. Now I did a comparison of the Z1 versus the Note 3 yesterday, and I had a lot of requests to compare the Z1 to the S4 as well, primarily because they have the same screen size. But what are the differences between these two devices? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out. So we'll start off initially with the screen size. Both of these do have a 5-inch screen, and they are both 1080p, full 1080p screens, so 1920 by 1080, and they both have 441 ppi pixel density. One thing to note is that the Z1 does have triluminous technology, so this is an improvement over the Xperia Z, which didn't have great viewing angles. Now, although both of these devices have the same screen size, the S4 is quite a bit smaller, 7.4mm in terms of height, 4.2mm in terms of width, and also 0.6mm smaller in terms of thickness. It is also 40 grams lighter than the Z1, so overall a lot more compact, and is going to be fitting in your hand a little bit better. Now, the reason for the compact size and the weight does come down to the build quality. The S4 does have that polycarbonate plastic build, which does keep that weight down, and some people don't mind it, some people don't like it at all. Personally, I just have my S4 in a case, which isn't too much of a problem for me. The Z1 on the other hand does have more of a premium build. It's got an aluminium frame with shatterproof glass on the front and the back. It's also dust and water resistant, IP58 certified, so you are not going to have a problem getting this into water. You can also film underwater and things like that, so at the expense of a larger size and a more heavier device, you are getting these advantages. Now, in terms of processors, the primary version of the S4 has a 1.9 GHz quad-core processor. The Z1 has a 2.2 GHz quad-core processor, so a higher clock speed on the Z1. It's also got a better GPU. It's got the Adreno 330 versus the 320. Now, the S4 is available also in the Octa version, which has 4 at 1.6 GHz and the other 4 at 1.2 GHz. Now, in terms of performance, the Z1 on paper does definitely look much better. Both of these do have the same RAM, however, 2 GB of RAM on both sides. Great for multitasking. In terms of the different versions available, the Xperia Z1 is only going to be available in the 16 GB version, well, at least for now anyway. The S4, you've got the 16, 32 and 64 GB versions. Both of these do have expandable storage, micro SD up to 64 GB, so you're not going to be stuck with just the storage that you have on the device on either of these. Now, looking at the cameras, the S4 has a 13 megapixel camera. It's a very nice camera. You can see lots of examples on my channel and comparisons with other devices. Now, one of the issues that I have with the S4 is that low light performance isn't too great. Now, this is something that the Z1 is supposed to be improving on. The sensor size is the same as a lot of compact cameras out there, so it's much larger than your standard smartphones. Now, that's going to mean two things. Firstly, the resolution, 20.7 megapixels, so a huge resolution here, and also low light performance is going to be a lot better compared to the standard smartphones out there. A larger sensor is going to be capturing that much more light. You've also got superior auto mode on the Z1, which is going to detect the scenes a lot better compared to what you normally see. The S4 does have some nice software features for the camera, such as drama shot, sound in shot, as well as the dual camera function, which is quite unique. So the Sony camera looking very impressive in terms of that resolution and that sensor size. Definitely will have to see comparisons to have a better idea, but it's looking very promising. In terms of video, both of these have 1080p at 30 frames a second. The Xperia Z1 does have HDR video, which is quite nice to see. The front-facing cameras, again, very similar, 2 megapixels on both sides, capable of filming 1080p HD. Now, in terms of operating systems, both of these have the same version of Jelly Bean 4.2.2, but they have their own skins on top. The S4 has TouchWiz from Samsung. Sony has their own skin as well. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but you've got some additional features on the S4, such as air view and air gestures, smart scroll, smart pause, which I'm not going to really go into because I don't really find them too useful. You've also got an IR blaster on the S4, which is quite nice. The Z1 has its own features such as InfoEye. Now, Sony have partnered with lots of companies out there such as Amazon, and with the Z1, what you're going to be able to do is, say for instance, take a picture of a book, and that's going to directly connect with Amazon and bring you information about that book on top of your screen straight away, so that's quite nice to see. Now, in terms of the batteries, the S4 has a 2600 mAh battery, which is removable. The Z1 has a 3000 mAh battery, which is not removable. Now, the Z1 has the advantage here in terms of the larger battery. You've got high milliamps on here. In terms of usage, we will have to see about that because it does have a higher clock speed on the processor, so that might be taking up a little bit more power here. But the S4 does have a removable battery, so you've got the option of carrying around a spare or replacing it altogether as well, something that you don't have on the Z1. Finally, looking at the price, the S4 currently you can pick it up for about £400 to £450 in the UK, or between $600 to $650 in the US. Now the Z1, when it is going to release, which is going to be end of this month, beginning of October time, you're going to be able to pick it up for between £550 to £600 here in the UK, or between $700 to $750 in the US. So because it is a new device and the initial release date, it is going to be quite a bit higher in price. So those are the key differences between these two devices. The Z1 does have higher specs, but those come at the expense of a larger device which is heavier and also higher in price. The S4 is still a very popular handset, one of the most popular Android handsets of 2013. But which one would you go for? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more videos coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below.